Anatomy of an Episode is now taking a look at Charm's perky blonde vampire hunting rival, Buffy the Vampire Slayer.
Making fun of the competition only makes me seem petty.
To preface, I want to say that even if I make fun of some aspects of the show that haven't aged well, especially in light of what we now know about Joss Whedon, I do still love the series overall.
I think Mr. Pointy will have something to say about that.
While Charmed will always be my preferred of the two, Buffy was very formative for me, and the legacy of it can't be ignored. I mean, did you know that TV Tropes began its life focusing on Buffy? But anyway, I may one day do videos covering specific topics relating to the show and its storylines or whatever, but I want to focus my first Anatomy of an Episode on it by tackling my personal favourite episode of the series.
Okay, the entire world sucks because some dead ditz made a wish?
Much like Morality Bites with Charmed, The Wish is a standalone episode that has minimal connections to the season's running storyline. It does, however, capture the fallout of some semi-significant character beats.
And you know what? I'll date whoever the hell I want to date. No matter how lame he is.
Season 2 hadn't just progressed Buffy's romance with Angel, but rather saw her nerdy best friends gaining love interests of their own. Willow found a kindred spirit in Oz, and Xander hooked up with the school's resident mean girl Cordelia.
In your locker? I never knew I was locker door material.
Both pairings were great for the characters and the show itself, so of course Joss Whedon's obsession with misery led to Xander and Willow developing feelings for each other in a 4-episode arc that didn't really accomplish much, but did provide plenty of material for whenever I want to get on my Willow was actually bi soapbox.
It's a fluke.
Anyway, the attraction led to one passionate makeout that both their significant others walked in on, and that's where this episode picks up.
Okay, we kissed. It was a mistake. But I know that was positively the last time we were ever gonna kiss.
Darn tootin'.
Cordelia, meanwhile, is fuming.
No luck reaching Cordelia?
I've left a few messages. 60, 70.
She gave up her popularity to date an inferior social reject, and now he's cheated on her and left her an outcast from both friend groups. The only one she has time for is this new transfer student, Anya. And after another social embarrassment, Cordelia comes to the conclusion that Buffy is the source of all her problems and makes a wish in a fit of teenage angst.
I wish Buffy Summers had never come to Sunnydale.
Oops! Turns out Anya is actually Anyanka, a vengeance demon who specializes in granting wishes to scorned women. The woman scorned trope as a cottage industry. Okay.
She was like a good fairy.
Cordelia's wish means that she's taken to an alternate reality where Buffy didn't show up when she did at the start of the series. Matching continuity with the 2-part premiere, the harvest happened and Season 1 villain The Master is now ruling Sunnydale.
What news on the Rialto?
School is still on, but now they have monthly memorials for their fallen classmates and no one dares go out at night. Except Cordelia though, and she runs into...
But I'll give you a head start.
Xander and Willow are now vampires, and the Master's right-hand disciples by the looks of it.
Ah, Xander. Willow.
Luke from the premiere and Darla are nowhere to be seen, so we can assume they got bored of Victory and left town, or else were killed between now and then. The latter is quite possible, because Giles leads a resistance made up of students such as Oz and Larry, and his suspicions are activated by Cordelia knowing that he was meant to be a Slayer's watcher.
How do you know I was a watcher? I've never...
Before she can give Giles the information they both need, she is killed by Xander and Willow on the Master's orders, leaving Giles to figure out the rest for himself.
She said something about everything being different. The world wasn't supposed to be like this.
I'm a sucker for alternate reality episodes, and I've always found the concept fascinating. The what-if scenario is always fun, even if writers do love to take it to the bleakest possibility.
Well, yeah. They're dead.
I will give Buffy this one, and say that it pulled off the bad alternate reality much better than Charmed, but I believe I've made my dissatisfaction with that storyline quite clear. It's interesting how we're led to think this will be a Cordelia episode, with her experience in the Wish reality giving her a new perspective on how her life has actually been improved by knowing Buffy, and possibly even being so heartbroken at a reality where Xander is dead that when the reset button inevitably gets hit, she might be compelled to give him another chance and rebuild their relationship. But then she gets killed halfway through, and ultimately remembers nothing of the alternate reality when the wish is reversed. And so any potential character development is null and void.
No, wait. I wish Buffy Summers had never been born.
While that could be annoying, even if the characters don't remember it, we, the audience, do.
As much as it kills me to admit it, things were better when she was around.
This episode gives us perspective on just what Buffy's influence has been. The first 2 seasons had given us some funky supernatural metaphors for various teen issues, and leaned heavily on the fact that being a Slayer was coming at the cost of a normal life. Hence why season 2 ends with Buffy leaving town. This episode and season 3 in general, however, takes things in the other direction.
Most of the people here have been saved by you.
Just 2 episodes after this, Joyce would be asking how much better off Sunnydale really is with a Slayer in town.
But is Sunnydale getting any better? Are they running out of vampires?
The existence of this episode answers that question before she's even asked it. So now as Buffy matures and approaches adult age, the show stops focusing just on how being a Slayer ruins her life, and now offers up some more positive themes and statements by showing just how worse off the town would be if she'd never came.
You guys in Sunnydale talk like I'm the second coming.
We'd seen in the season premiere how alone and miserable Buffy is without her friends around, and the wish reinforces how Buffy needs them as much as the town needs her.
How do you deal?
I have you guys.
Wish-verse Buffy is cynical, battle-hardened and world-weary, merely existing to kill vampires and demons until her time comes.
The world is what it is. We fight, we die.
She has no life outside of slaying. We never even hear about where her mother is, if Buffy has any contact with her, if she's even still alive. Forget about her father. There's also something very unspeakably tragic about the scene where she finally meets Wish-verse Angel.
It's you. I mean, you don't remember. How could you?
The optimistic viewer might hope that, even if they've never met in this reality, there might still be a spark, or something that indicates they could still fall in love, no matter the circumstances.
Is this a get in my pants thing?
But nope, Buffy is indifferent to him.
Don't fall on this.
The first great love of her life, who caused her no shortage of heartbreak last season, and when he dies in the final battle, she barely flinches. And outside of that, this episode emphasizes how counterproductive it is for the Slayer to be alone.
I have to believe in a better world.
Go ahead. I have to live in this one.
Wish-verse Buffy is still strong and powerful, but without the support system she has in the true reality, she's nowhere near as effective.
Not gonna be any help to you anyway. There's only one thing I'm good at.
It can be pretty jarring to watch the scene between her and Giles, the 2 characters who normally work together to defeat whatever evil is attacking, and see Buffy ignore his advice and dismiss him as an ally.
I don't play well with others.
Everything we know and love about our main character is stripped away.
The next threat we face may be something quite different.
I can hardly wait.
Her happy-go-lucky personality, her Valley Girl fashion sense, her kindness to everyone, and we come away from the episode with an appreciation for how her friends and family keep her grounded.
But I told my friends how I felt, and you know what? They got a little better.
She may save their lives on a weekly basis, but they save hers in a different way.
Slaying's a rough gig. Too much alone time isn't healthy.
Outside of Buffy, the Wish-verse personas of the other characters give us lots to talk about.
You're taking an awful lot on faith here, Jeeves.
Giles.
While I can get a little sad that Giles isn't a sadistic vampire in this reality too, I love that he's leading the resistance and doing his best to keep the surviving people in Sunnydale somewhat safe. And the fact that he's able to work out what doesn't add up about their reality with only a few clues from Cordelia reinforces what an asset he is to the show.
She said something about everything being different, that the world wasn't supposed to be like this.
We can make a running gag out of the amount of times he gets knocked out or outclassed in a fight, but this shows how Buffy would not have been as efficient if she didn't have her Watcher.
Yeah, well, I'm sure it's not that simple, but...
I also love Oz as this cool, badass vampire hunter. He needed more screen time in this story.
So Cordelia wished for something? Well, if it was a long, healthy life, she should get her money back.
Vampire Xander? Well, it's a choice.
We really are living in a golden age.
I really don't like this character as he is, and even being an irredeemable monster in this reality doesn't quite fix him for me.
Watch this.
I think Nicholas Brendon maybe just wasn't sure how to play this.
Someone has to talk to her people. That name is striking fear in nobody's hearts.
But we all know who this episode really belongs to.
Bored now.
On my first watch of the series, you betcha fur I was very taken with Vampire Willow, and you will not believe how excited I was when I realized she was being brought back for another episode.
Well, look at me. I'm all fuzzy.
I'll admit, it's not the most original twist, good girl gone bad, but I love what Alison Hannigan does.
All those people you tried to save, it's gonna be quick for them.
I remember an interview with Pete Walker, a director of several horror and exploitation films of the 1970s, and this statement in particular jumped out at me.
Comedy actors always make great villains.
Alison Hannigan is obviously best known as a comedy actress in films like the American Pie series and the How I Met Your Mother sitcom, with even her role as Willow functioning as the adorable comic relief. But she is a great bad girl.
I love this part.
I personally like that she doesn't go for a stereotypically vampy, seductress interpretation. There is obviously the sexual aspect of the character, but Vampire Willow is just deranged.
No fun. She didn't even hardly fight.
She speaks in soft, creepy tones, takes pleasure in the kill without outwardly enjoying it, and seems to do cruel things simply because it's in her nature.
Maybe I went too hard on you last time.
While Angelus is an outright sadist, Drusilla is more childlike, Spike is the runt breaking free, and Darla is more of a predator, Vampire Willow is positively animalistic.
So, you're pleased?
Although she enjoys the pain and torture, it just seems to be because it's in her nature as a vampire. And there's nothing specifically on paper that sets her up to be this way. That just seems to be mostly Alison's interpretation.
Isn't that fun, puppy?
And such was the strength of this performance that they would create another episode to feature Vampire Willow as a main antagonist.
Bitch.
And before we get to the scene that makes the episode, here are a few more fun facts.
I had no idea her wish would be so exciting. Brave new world.
This episode marks the first appearance of Anya, who was originally just intended to be a one-shot character. Indeed, Emma Caulfield was a replacement for an actress who dropped out for that reason.
Thank you very much for those nightmares.
And in her debut appearance, we see her characterization differ greatly from what she'd evolved into when she became a regular.
No!
As opposed to her bad social skills and poor understanding of how the world works, Anya here appears to be a social chameleon who easily blends in with the popular girls and gets Cordelia to trust her.
Really? Yeah, I swear.
My own personal headcanon is that Anya could blend in for short amounts of time and suppress her own personality to get people to trust her, especially with demonic powers giving her extra confidence.
Your only power lies in the wishing.
Wrong!
Once she loses her powers and that safety net, her true self slowly comes out.
Back her off, you brawl!
And also, this girl, who's only named as Cordette No. 1, is played by Nicole Bilderback, who would more famously star in Bring It On, both with Claire Kramer, who played Glory in Season 5, and Slayer No. 3, Eliza Dushku. Oh, and we see a girl who looks like Faith getting bitten at the bronze, but it's not actually her, as well as what looks like Maya Wilkins tied to a pool table. I like the idea of pretending it is them, though, to show there's only room for one big bad in this reality.
Or I'll see you two kissing daylight.
Naturally, the wish also brings back Mark Metcalf as the Master in what would be his second last appearance in the series.
I remember that lust for the kill.
I feel that the lower budget and short episode count of Season 1 meant that the Master didn't get to do too much as a series villain.
You're not going to kill me with that thing.
He spent most of his season trapped underground and could only do so much indirectly, but still managed to be memorable thanks to a killer makeup job and great performance by Mark Metcalf.
And by the way, I like your dress.
So, I personally like this extra chance to demonstrate his effectiveness as a villain by showing him now ruling Sunnydale.
You know where he lives, and no one's ever tried to take him out?
People have tried.
His influence is felt in the scenes he isn't even in, where we can see what a ghost town he's turned it into, which would have been enough material for a season in its own right. And now, with an increased budget, and the show's production team being more experienced, we can see the Master in a fight, and ultimately Buffy is proved to be no match for him. Again, matching continuity with the Season 1 finale.
But prophecies are tricky creatures.
And yeah, now we turn our attention to the scene that makes the episode.
Buffy!
Some great episodes are great because they've got a good collection of scenes that come together well, or feature a memorable guest star, or they just bring the storyline in an interesting direction or conclusion. The Wish is great for me because of how it ends.
How do you know the other world is any better than this?
Because it has to be.
An ending can often be the deciding factor on whether a story works or not, and it is indeed what happens here.
This is the world we made. Isn't it wonderful?
Like Charmed, all hell breaks loose, the episode's final act wreaks havoc on our hearts. Angel getting killed taking a hit for Buffy, with the very arrow she used on the Master, for added tragedy by the same man who helped him bring Buffy back to life in the true timeline. Buffy killing Xander like he's a stranger. I hate the character, but even I find this death sad. Oz being the one to kill Willow? That might be the one that stings the most, and I love it. I was obsessed with this scene when I first watched the series, and I even became obsessed with a fan-made music video that put it to Memories by Within Temptation, which, believe me, works very well. But on the most recent watch, it wasn't this scene that got me, it was the one that came after.
That would be cool. No, wait. I wish Buffy Summers had never been born.
This dialogue-free, one-shot sequence showing our three main characters blissfully unaware of the bleakness and tragedy we just saw.
Wishing doesn't change that.
I just felt a nice sense of relief and happiness that things were back to normal, even when I knew how it was going to end already. I guess that's how you know a good story has been told well. Actually, scratch that last statement. I mean, great story.
Buffy was created by a ton of people, you know? It is a show that transcends all of that stuff, and I think being a fan of the show is not doing a disservice to feminism or Me Too or any of that stuff. I think the show is its own thing, and to love the show is a wonderful thing.